Hello YouTube and welcome back to the Drunken Kobold. I am taking a little break from my hiatus to come and give my thoughts on D&D Direct. It is 28 minutes long, so this video is going to be probably about 35 to 40 minutes so that I can give all my thoughts on everything that is in D&D Direct. So without further ado, let's hop in.
I voyaged far in skies unknown, by seeking treasure unforetold, and from the stars and darkness deep.
I'm liking the sea shanty vibe for this, but right away I'm seeing that the illustrations are kind of changing the lore of Spelljammer. This is more similar to the Weatherlight from Magic the Gathering. Alright, so that is the trailer for Spelljammer Adventures in Space, which is going to be coming out later this year. Like I just said, it gives me more of the Weatherlight from Magic the Gathering vibes than OG Spelljammer, but I guess when the book's released, we'll have to see more of what is what. Let's skip all of their chitter chatter and we will go right to them discussing Spelljammer.
Hi everybody, I'm Chris Perkins. I am the project lead on Spelljammer Adventures in Space. And this is
Tristan Falcone. We're so excited to talk to you about Spelljammer. Deep Space meets Deep Sea. My favorite thing about Spelljammer, the thing that brought me to it in the first place, is that it combines all of the excitement of a nautical exploration. Instead of traveling from A to B, we're going to get in a ship and we're going to take the really, really long way around.
Yeah, the scenic route, right? Where you get to see all the cool stuff that you can't see on the highway, like cities built on asteroids, and monster lairs carved out of asteroids, and dead gods floating in the ether. These are the kinds of sights that players will get to experience on board the deck of a ship. Spelljammer is a campaign setting in a slipcase with 3 books, a DM screen, and a poster map.
Double-sided.
There's 3 64-page hardcover books. The first book is called
So right away, my thoughts are that those books are very small. They're going to be about the size of Swords Coast Adventurer's Guide. And as such, I feel like the content of this slipcase probably could have been refined better into something similar to Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. But again, we're going to have to see how well they do with the books when they release.
Astral Adventurer's Guide, and it's aimed at players and DMs, because not only does it have everything the DM needs to know to run campaigns and adventures set in wild space, but it also has options for players in it, including 6 new playable race options. The Astral Elves.
These are elves with starlight in their eyes. They've left the Feywild and they want to go be in space.
Autognomes, which are mechanical gnomes, built gnome tough.
What's the next one?
The Hadozi.
Oh, the Hadozi. Yeah, the flying monkey creatures, right?
Yes. And then we have the GIF. GIF.
I agree to disagree, but sure.
The GIF, or GIF, are a race of hippo-headed folk who don't know where they came from, not sure where they're going. They're looking for home in all the wrong places. Then we have plasmoids.
You get to play the slime.
Yes, our first character race where you are an ooze. And then we've got the Thrycrane, which are insectile humanoids that have telepathy, so you can have silent conversations with your friends. And they have carapaces that can actually change color and hue to blend into their surroundings.
I love them.
You gotta have bug folk. The second book, which is called Boo's Astral Menagerie, named after the very famous miniature giant space hamster, is a bestiary of new monsters for the setting. For instance, there are space clowns,
There's also vampires, murder comets.
giant space hamsters, there are solar dragons and lunar dragons, all kinds of creatures. And the third and final book.
So for those who noticed that lunar and solar dragons were missing from Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, this explains why. I do hope that we do get, Wormling through ancient variants or even Great Worm variants. But again, not much is said in regards to that.
Book is an adventure. And it's called Light of Xerxes. It is an all-new D&D adventure set in wild space in the astral sea. And it's got how many episodes?
12 episodes, believe it or not.
And each one of those ends in a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I feel like that's too small of a book to do 12 well-fleshed-out episodes.
Everything goes absolutely buck wild, and you'll have to see for yourself.
Maybe with the book not having setting information.
Coming in August 2022.
August, is that right?
Yeah.
Alright, so we're going to go up here. August 16th, 2022. There is no MSRP on this yet. So I am predicting that it is going to cost about the same as the last gift set that we got. Perhaps a little less because the books are a bit smaller, but I don't see it costing more as the cost to produce this is obviously less. One thing you'll notice is it didn't give a collector's edition cover, but on the D&D website, there is indeed an announcement of alternate art covers. So what I am seeing from here right now is that we have Boo, an Astro Elf, and a GIF. So that is what it's looking like in terms of that. I do have to say I like the regular DM screen much, much more. So that is where we are at for Spelljammer. We have a release date, but we don't have MSRP. Okay, it's a 68-page hardcover adventure for Dungeon Masters that is set in the astral plane and designed for characters levels 5 through 8. So it's essentially a higher level starter set, which we'll actually get into in a bit here too.
Yeah.
Is there anything we can do in the meantime to get going?
Oh, wait, yes. In July, we are going to release a prequel adventure.
Okay, so that's probably going to be your level 1 through 5.
Sail for the stars.
I love Spelljammer, and I cannot wait to further explore the astral sea with these books. And here's something else that greatly enhances your Spelljammer expeditions. Our partner WizKids has created an entire collection of spacefaring figurines. Let's take a look at the exclusive preview now.
There are worlds beyond worlds. Cold, hot, light, dark, watery, and earthly. They all share one basic need. A need for heroes. Attention Voyagers, at long last the epic space fantasy returns. Elevate your Spelljammer campaign with icons of the realm's miniatures from WizKids. Take on a cosmic enemy with new playable races, NPCs, and otherworldly creatures from the depths of wide space, like Domor and Space Swine, Giant Space Hamster, and the menacing Void Scaper. Enhance your storytelling experience with 2-in-1 combined figures. Now you're ready to face any danger in the astral sea. Well,
So I like that they are bringing back the customizable miniatures, similar to what we got in Wild Beyond the Witchlight and the Mammoth. To me, that is actually really cool, and I definitely appreciate that WizKids is continuing to do that.
Mosey. Maximize your immersion with gargantuan models.
Okay, that is fucking huge. If that is a medium miniature there, this gargantuan model is nearly similar in scale to the Tiamat figure. This is enormous.
Or get tactical. Only you can vanquish the threat of destruction and prevent calamity. Maximize your immersion with gargantuan models. Or get tactical. Only you.
I think that having, ships available for this set is going to be really cool. I think that these are probably going to be sold separately and not included in the main boosters. And that mat, by God, that mat is beautiful, and I do hope that they make it available for, tabletop play. Because that is just...
of destruction and prevent calamity. Welcome to Spelljammer.
I do hope that they do have some Belzers unpainted that we will be able to paint as well.
You can collect this devastating dreadnought and all the other Spelljammer figures at your local game store this summer.
Next, we want to bring you the latest on Baldur's Gate 3. So, let's check in with Sven at Larian Studios for a look at all the recent progress they've made.
Sven! Sven! There's an update! Sven? Sven? Have you guys seen Sven? There's an update. Okay.
I love how the captions just keep misspelling his name.
Sven? 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 Who are you?
A doctor.
Okay, and where is Sven?
Sven's incapacitated, boy.
Look of concern grows over the healer's face. He clearly suspects you're suffering the early effects of ceramorphosis.
What was that?
Now he just thinks you're weird.
You've got a parasite in your brain, and it must be removed. But first, according to the official apothecary health and safety protocols, we'll have to test your memory. Tell me, what do you still remember of the last 18 months?
I have to leave. No, I'm going.
Memories wash over you as the worm burrows into the lobe responsible for producing quality promotional videos. Suddenly, a trailer materializes in your mind's eye, fully formed.
We've added a lot of great stuff already. And there's more where that came from. So join us in early access on our journey to Baldur's Gate 3, or come along in 2023 when the game releases.
So the fact that they've just recapped everything that they've done in early access is rather disappointing to me. I have to say that, for the people who've played early access, we know what you've added. We know what has changed graphics, story-wise, and all of that. So you're not really, making us excited for anything. And for those who haven't gotten into the early release, it's a great way to show where the early access game is at, but it doesn't give them anything that they can't already look up to be excited for the game, and it doesn't entice them to join the early access if they haven't already, especially when, the actual game comes out in a year.
Thanks, Doc.
Wait, your Cerebrosses!
So that, for me, was very underwhelming.
Baldur's Gate 3 keeps getting better and better. There is still a lot more in store for the game with an expected 2023 release date.
But in the meantime, let's set our sights on glorious adventures in fresh new locales and journeys through the Radiant Citadel. To give us all the insider details, here are Ajit George and Wes Schneider.
Hi, I'm Ajit George. And I'm Wesley Schneider, and we're here today to talk about Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel, a new anthology of Dungeons & Dragons adventures.
One of the things I love most about this book is that we got 16 black and brown writers to put together stories based on their lives, their backgrounds, their cultures, and their myths to weave 13 incredible adventures and 15 new locations that players and DMs can really dig into.
This anthology covers levels 1 to 14 and really highlights the incredible diversity of possibilities and adventures that you can see in Dungeons & Dragons.
The Radiant Citadel could be a gateway through to all the 15 lands described in there, but also there are 12 missing portals or comfort jewels that are transports. And that could be used to make links to their locations in their own home games.
The adventures and locations, you can run these as one-off adventures themselves, or you can set them in any of a host of campaign settings.
So in that sense, it's already very similar to the anthologies that we have in Tales of the Yawning Portal, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and Candlekeep Mysteries, in that you can run this as a solid, adventure from beginning to end, or you can incorporate bits and pieces of these adventures into your existing campaigns, whether they're pre-written modules or or your own homebrew games. And the fact that they've actually set up the Radiant Citadel to be able to link to your worlds shows that they're really focusing on the idea that they announced last year, that everything in D&D is canon. And it may not be canon with each other, but it is still canon.
Writing for the Radiant Citadel, all the writers, they share their notes with each other, and so you will see seeds of each other's lands and adventures within the other, and you get the sense of like a shared world. The cultures, they all connect to the Radiant Citadel, in that the Radiant Citadel is ruled by a group called the Speakers to the Ancestors.
Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel includes multiple adventures. We're going to talk about just 3 of them here today, starting off with the adventure Wages of Vice.
Wages of Vice is a 5th level adventure. The art is gorgeous.
That is some beautiful
pastels. Something you don't usually see in D&D, probably evocative of the Caribbean and the people. I think people are just going to grab onto this art, and it's going to provoke their imagination to kind of sink into the land.
That just looks menacing, but it's still beautiful.
Our 14th level adventure is called Orchids of the Invisible Mountain, and this is a plane-spanning adventure where you start off in this region called Antagua. You're going to see mystery and majesty of the faith.
Is Antagua new? All right, so it appears that Antagua is overall very new. So kind of excited for that. The fact that it's saying it goes into the Feywild, this means that you can probably incorporate this adventure into your Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign.
wild, but then go all the way to the inscrutable far realm and face creatures in the realm of madness. This adventure also includes a new monster, the Whistler, a far realm
That just looks
entity that's going to
menacing.
horrify your parties.
The Fiend of Hollow Mine is a 4th level adventure. It takes place in the city of San Sablan and the festival, the Night of the Remembered, when the departed and the dead come back to celebrate with their lost ones, their loved ones, in this raucous party of skeletons and spirits. And for this
So
one
this
night,
is reminding me of a Mexican holiday. The name isn't coming to me right now, but it's also got some Halloween All Hallows Eve vibes.
This book
So I
has so
think
much
that's
to
really
offer.
cool.
13 new adventures, 16 new locations.
And this is all just a taste of the adventures, the locations, and the monsters that you're going to find in Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel when it releases on June 20th.
That alt cover, that is beautiful. I love that. The MSRP on this is $49.95 US, $65.95 Canadian, and is going to be out in about 2 months' time.
21st.
I can already see the Dungeon Master wheels in your mind turning, Dave.
Yes, you know me, and I am what I am, and it is absolutely true, which is why I feel qualified to appeal now to our fellow Dungeon Masters. What we have for you next is something you have never seen before. But I feel compelled to fortify you with caution. For once you cast your gaze on these, you will not be able to live without them. You have been warned.
So we're going to pause there, and we're going to go up here to the campaign case creatures. 64 weighted plastic discs that come in 3 sizes and 4 colors for maximum flexibility in encounter creation. 40 medium-sized creature tokens, 20 large-sized creature tokens, and 4 huge-sized creature tokens. So this is definitely ignoring Gargantuan, much like Pathfinder does with its pawns, which I find to be a little disappointing. 5 sheets of fully illustrated, reusable creature clings. Simply apply a cling to a disc to create customized creature tokens ready for any encounter. So the idea of creature tokens is not something new. Pawns obviously exist in Pathfinder and Pathfinder 2e, and token-like chips were one of the main focuses actually of 4th edition. There were plenty of those in existence. I do like the carrying case, but I do worry about the durability of these clings. Now, when it said that there's, 154 clings, I see a lot of repetitive here. Like, there's some goblins, some kobolds, there's a large variety of creatures here, so it's going to probably cover most of the core monster manual. But I am not 100% sure if they mean that there's 154 different monsters here and we get repeats of those monsters, or if the repeats count for that. If the repeats count for that, that's not necessarily as exciting as they make it sound, but this concept is definitely not new. It's new to 5th edition, but not even new to Dungeons & Dragons. And then it's also a great companion to the campaign case terrain, which we will be seeing next.
I love how you can apply those monster clings and then just easily peel them back off and reuse them. Handy and sustainable.
Next, we have the terrain case that will also enhance your D&D experience like never before.
Okay, so the terrain case. Again, not something we haven't seen before. Like, this board is literally the adventure grid that we got when 5th edition came out. And these interlocking tiles are just the adventure grid in pieces. The interlocking idea of them, we got to see that in the D&D adventure board games. The fact that the clings, go on these, they don't look like they're anything different than dungeon tiles, wilderness tiles, etc. So really, there's nothing new here. I like the idea of, being able to interlock your tiles that you couldn't do with the original D&D adventure tiles. And I like that it's compatible with D&D adventure tiles and that you could use them in addition to the clings. But really, there's nothing new here. This isn't something that we've never seen before. This doesn't innovate and change the game. And I feel like by creating this product, that it is stepping on the toes of WizKids, who are producing miniatures and terrain, and even the skinny minis for cheaper, more durable miniatures. And I do think that, the clings are going to wear out a lot quicker than the skinny minis do. So I think that these do have their use and they are warranted, but I don't think that they are, they aren't on the hype train as much as they claims to be.
I definitely want both of these campaign cases in my arsenal.
Always both.
Always both, definitely both.
I think personally I'm going to pass on them, simply because I've invested so much in Warlock at this point, and I've given up my quest to hunt down the old D&D tile sets that definitely would have been compatible with this and would have made it a lot better, especially because they gave up at the core 3. They didn't re-release any of the old ones. They didn't even put them in a kit. So tiles and tokens, really cool for 4th edition, and I may pick up the tokens just for 4th edition games, because 4th edition already uses tokens as its starter while you're getting into miniatures. But at the same time, I also already have a lot of miniatures, so I don't know where my stance is on these. I think it's a cool product. I think it's a really interesting product that would be good for new players, but I don't think that it's as great as they claim.
Which is why it is so great that they'll be available this July. Next, we're thrilled to take you from the tabletop to the big screen with an exciting update from the filmmakers of the upcoming D&D movie.
Hi, I'm John Francis Daly. And I'm Jonathan Goldstein. After years of being devoted to players, we, like you, have spent a lot of time imagining the incredible places, characters, and limitless adventure that D&D offers.
We could not be more excited to bring this world to the big screen, just rap shooting in some of the most incredible locations.
It's a dream come true to bring the Forgotten Realms and the Sword Coast to life. We set out to capture the spirit of fun.
So the fact that this movie has to deal with the Swords Coast and the Forgotten Realms, I feel like there is so much content in Dungeons & Dragons that they could have explored with this movie that already I am starting to lose interest in this movie. 5th edition has rode the Forgotten Realms train. It's milked that cow's giving dust. There's so much content that they could have used for their movie that they didn't need to go this route.
And surprise that we all love about D&D.
Thank you to our awesome partners at Wizards of the Coast, but most importantly, thank you to you, the greatest fans in the world.
It's going to be in theaters March 2023. We can't wait for you to see it.
This probably pissed off so many people when they were watching this live. I know I was. So cool, we have a title and we have a date. But you just said you've wrapped filming. You guys couldn't even edit a 30-second teaser for today. You know, this was, slotted to be a half-hour show, and it was only 28 and a half minutes. You could have brought it to 29 and gave us a 30-second teaser. Come on. Like, that was just a huge letdown.
There you have it! Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, coming to theaters March 2023.
It cannot get here soon enough. And I love how film is another incredible way to inspire and invite new players to join the D&D community. There's just so much variety and evolution here. It is always the perfect time to try your first game. And it makes it easier than ever for new players to join us and create these lasting memories and experiences for themselves.
You're so right, BJ, and especially right now, it's the digital aspects of this set that make it so simple. Take a look at this. This brand new D&D starts.
So, right away, we are seeing one of the characters from the cartoon. I think that is a really cool Easter egg. And I hope that of the other pre-made characters that are in this set, that there are the other cartoon characters. The fact that we have what is going to be, what appears to be another dragon in a starter set, they really are riding on the dragons part of Dungeons and Dragons.
Set not only features a fresh new adventure, it comes with digital onboarding tools that immediately introduce new players to the basics.
It has never been easier, and the set itself is also different from the current starter set. It is more streamlined and easier to understand. Additionally, the starter set contains everything you need to start playing the world's greatest role-playing game.
It's always so exciting to welcome the next generation of players, and this starter set is the best way for players to share their love of D&D with their friends and family members, and especially kids.
Speaking of amazing digital content, a new D&D digital library is available on the D&D website today.
So, back in January, I made a list of predictions for the next evolution of Dungeons and Dragons. And on that predictions, my 10th prediction was that the next evolution of Dungeons and Dragons is going to fully embrace digital. And throughout the predictions, I kept mentioning collaborations between Wizards of the Coast and D&D Beyond. Unfortunately, that video had to be taken down because somebody made a copyright claim against it. I think my neighbor's music was playing in the background, and that resulted in the copyright claim. But unfortunately, I don't have the raw video to edit it anymore, so I am without that video. But I do have those 10 predictions on my phone, so I may reshoot it, especially since they are time-stamped. As to when they were made. The fact that Wizards of the Coast has gone as far as to acquire D&D Beyond really supports a lot of the idea of these collaborations.
Use or create your Wizards account to get access to all this new digital content right now. We already told you about the Spelljammer Academy adventure, but there's something else, and it's one of my favorite things, the new digital Monstrous Compendium. Talk about another treasured memory. I mean, all the way back to the beginning, one of my favorite things to do was to get the old Monstrous Compendium and look.
So, I personally also loved that Monstrous Compendium. And it was actually in my 10th prediction as well, that with the embracing of digital content, we're going to get content that is add-ons to digital content rather than brand new content. So you may log in one day and see that, oh, your monster manual has an update that's available for $2. And you're going to be able to get new stat blocks added to your monster manual rather than purchases of whole separate bestiaries like Volo's Guide to Monsters, Mordekainen's Tome of Foes, and Monsters of the Multiverse. So let's quickly see if we can go up here. We're going to find this. I feel like this definitely needs a search engine. Okay, so what I'll do is I will find the digital library for a separate video. I got to look at it on my phone. So far, there is only one thing in the digital library. It may be in D&D Beyond now. Beyond. All right, here we are. No, this is not it here. Here we are. So, Monstrous Compendium, Volume 1, Spelljammer Creatures. I feel like things like these, because they do mention, they may not have gotten to that point yet, that these are going to be updated and more added to them. I think if people enjoy these free tools being updated and added to, that Wizards of the Coast is then going to approach the idea of being able to add to paid content like monster manuals, dungeon master guides, adventures, etc. So that is where that is at here. There's a few monsters here. Most of them are pretty low level, easy to use in a low level adventure, so that's pretty cool. Got a couple high-end guys here. Your asteroid spider. Do these have artwork? They do. All right, so yeah, Gargantuan Monstrosity. It's eating a ship, so that doesn't surprise anybody. But yeah, I feel like if the Monstrous Compendium does well, between now and 2024 and is well received, that the idea of content that you can add on to DLC is going to be a lot more popular as Wizards of the Coast continues to embrace digital over physical.
Get all the stat blocks and all the art and just dream about all these terrible creatures, beholders and Umbra Hulks and mind players.
Can I have a displacer beast instead?
We can have both. Why not both?
Fair.
You know, I mean, I can still see my massive second edition binder bulging at the seams with iconic art because, well, I mean, I still have it.
Of course.
He's not kidding. That Monstrous Compendium was enormous. And if you were lucky enough to have all of the content that they released for it, you needed a second binder. It did not all fit. And TSR never released a second empty binder that you could put stuff in. So it was either buy the binder again and get repeats, which I know a few people did, or, buy a plain white binder from Walmart, Zellers, Target, and, label it, your part 2. But it truly was enormous with the amount of additions that TSR put in it.
No, I love that thing. And I'm so excited they're bringing it back and that it will continue to be updated.
Monstrous Compendium Volume 1 will be available to all players with a Wizards account or a D&D Beyond account, and comes with 10 monsters from Spelljammer, both well-known and completely brand new for your collection. Throughout the year, you can collect more volumes of the Monstrous Compendium and expand your collection of the monsters from across the multiverse.
For example, Volume 1 features the Eldritch Lich, one of the most powerful undead wizards to ever exist, which is something I'm super pumped about. And then there's something I know that you're going to be pumped about, the 10-legged asteroid spider.
Is 10 legs better than 8? Or...
I mean, objectively better than 8. There's more legs.
She's really not that pumped about a spider.
I'm not sure.
Well, there's at least one monster none of us have seen, the Starlancer.
That's really exciting. I can't wait to see that. And
so I am going to show you guys the Starlancer. So it kind of looks like a cross between a shark, a pterodactyl, and a X-fighter, an X-wing. It's a pretty low challenge rating, so it's pretty. It's going to be pretty easy to defeat, and the new stat blocks, of course, are in line with Wild Beyond the Witchlight, Mordecai's Monsters of the Multiverse. So these are next evolution ready stat blocks, which leads me into believing that the next evolution as a setting, Spelljammer is going to be the primary setting for the next evolution, so that way they can focus more on, multiverse content, that they don't have to focus on one setting. That everything that is released, whether it's Ravenloft, Dragonlance, Greyhawk, if they can somehow get the rights to Blackmoor, I highly doubt it, but everything is going to exist within the world of Spelljammer. But just much like Spelljammer was interdimensional travel back in 2nd edition.
it's only a tiny taste of all the stuff coming to players this year in their D&D digital library on the D&D website.
Dungeons & Dragons is a fantasy world for everyone around the world. That's why we're delighted to showcase the latest books will be available in French, Italian, German, and Spanish.
This is a tremendous expansion to the list of titles Wizards of the Coast first started offering in European languages in 2021. We're thrilled to announce that these titles will now be available. Touch the Color of Everything, Monsters of the Multiverse, Curse of Strahd.
Big fan of that one.
Me too.
I find it funny that they, went with Curse of Strahd, considering the age of Curse of Strahd, especially when Wild Beyond the Witchlight hasn't been done in all languages and is next evolution ready.
And the new starter set.
Next, let's see how Gearbox Publishing is pulling us back into the Forgotten Realms with this exclusive video for the action MMO
We never left.
Neverwinter.
We've been in the Forgotten Realms since 2014.
I've spent my life studying the enigma of dragonkind. What drives them, where to find them, the power they command. I've watched them build and topple whole societies. And I've seen the truth behind their treacherous words.
So you're very old, got it.
They can be cold and callous. Some are outright savage, while others are more calculated in their ruinous pursuits. No matter their motivations, whatever fuels their primal rage, it is my responsibility to protect the citizens of Faerun from these dragons. Tell me, Dragon Slayer, will you join us?
Literal dragon flying behind him and he doesn't even notice. Such an observant Dragon Slayer.
You can play this next major expansion to Neverwinter on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. New dragon lairs, spectacular dragon hunting, and a fresh Tiamat trial await you.
Streaming has helped demystify Dungeons & Dragons for a whole new generation of fans. There has never been more great D&D content to watch. It has also opened the gates for incredible content to be created, including one new D&D show I'm personally quite partial to because I happen to have the honor of being a part of it. It's called Legends of the Multiverse. Let's take a look at the new ambitious D&D play series in this exciting trailer.
So this theme song is giving me some major 80s vibes, and I think it's absolutely hilarious. cheesy lyrics, cheesy animation.
On the Dungeons and Dragons YouTube and Twitch channel.
Sorry, we did, but that doesn't.
As a storyteller, I absolutely love the way D&D invites everyone into this world of adventure. Whether they want to play it on the tabletop, experience it through video games, watch it on the big screen, or be swept away through the pages of an expertly crafted novel.
You're so right, B-Dave. D&D brings us together in such fun and meaningful ways. And that's why I was so excited to see all the new content and products coming our way in 2022 and beyond. From incredible brands like Spelljammer, Baldur's Gate 3, and Neverwinter.
And from products like the new campaign cases, the Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel anthology, the Reborn Starter Set, and so much more.
In fact, here is a sneak peek of a brand new miniatures gaming experience coming later this year.
In the forgotten dungeons of the Forgotten Realms, an elusive treasure awaits you. But standing between you and your prize, the monsters who lie beneath. Gather your party, press forward, and beware your rivals. The horrors.
The terror started our way.
With monsters and terror.
Only the horror loves us.
Let me preach it. And those who guard the keep. An tactical skirmish miniatures game in the Dungeons and Dragons universe. Are you brave enough to face the onslaught? Pre-order to Game Store online.
Gather your forces.
Okay. Let me just collect my thoughts here. Okay. No. Absolutely not. I do not like the idea of Onslaught. Here is why. When Wizards of the Coast started introducing miniatures to Dungeons and Dragons, they did not introduce them to the role-playing game. They introduced them to a skirmishing game called DDM, Dungeons and Dragons Miniatures. When that didn't work as well as anticipated, they created another skirmishing game, Dungeon Command. And Dungeon Command actually did it right. It was a skirmishing game with pre-painted miniatures that could be used in your role-playing game, much like DDM, but it also provided miniatures for the board game, the adventure game, which is actually quite popular. We just got a recent expansion with it with Ghosts of Saltmarsh. And I have to say that introducing yet another skirmishing game is just asking for the product to not succeed. D&D players don't want to play skirmishes with their D&D minis. If they want to play skirmishes, they will play games like War Machine, Warhammer, X-Wing, Attack Wing, and games and HeroClix, games that are made to fight with miniatures. Now, if they were adamant, absolutely adamant, about having a skirmishing game, then I think that they should have just resurrected Dungeon Command. The mechanics exist. There's already sets that exist that you could reprint to give more access to the game, and then it's already compatible with your role-playing game. It's already compatible with your board game that you continue to support. and it doesn't require players to have anything new. So the fact that they're creating a new skirmishing game with probably new mechanics it's disappointing to say the least. And I feel like they are approaching it entirely incorrectly. Now, on the other hand, in the predictions that I made for January, I said in the next evolution of Dungeons & Dragons, which is supposed to be 5th edition compatible, there was going to be more emphasis on miniatures and miniature play, and a potential of skirmishing rules in 5th edition. And I think that if they do that, then they better use Onslaught as the basis of its rule set. Otherwise, it's going to be a game that fails really quickly. Onslaught isn't going to have the continued support. Now, one of the downsides about Onslaught is the cost. These miniatures are roleplay ready. They are the correct bases and scale. But for how few miniatures you get, there is a huge cost here. It's like $150 US. And that is already more than the vintage Dungeon Command boxes. Like if you were to go on eBay or Amazon and pick up Dungeon Command, it's cheaper to buy Dungeon Command than it is to buy this. And I don't think that the players are going to want to buy this if they're not interested in skirmishing games, because the value for the miniatures is not there, despite the fact that these are unique miniature sculpts that aren't in Icons of the Realms, Nullzors, or frameworks. So I am interested to see the destiny of Onslaught, but I do think it is going to be something that fails miserably, which is unfortunate because I do enjoy skirmishes. I've been working with some friends on creating a skirmish rule set using the Monster Manual and the Dungeon Master's Guide, where you create armies based on your creature types, whether they are undead, goblinoid, etc., and then your armies face against the Dungeon Master's army of threats, which I think has the potential to be super cool.
In battle fearsome monsters and worthy rivals on a quest for treasure and glory in this exciting combat board game. You can get your hands on Dungeons & Dragons Onslaught in local game stores this October.
We've traveled between worlds in our show today, and to reward you for sticking with us for the entire journey, we have one more intriguing thing for you.
But before we go, we want to thank you for joining us for the first ever D&D Direct.
Everything in the world of D&D is meant to be shared amongst family, friends, and fans, which is why it was such an honor to celebrate that world with all of you today.
I completely agree, Anna. And somehow our love for the game just keeps growing deeper as we discover new products, create content, and adventure together. How amazing to see such evidence that D&D will never stop bringing new shared experiences and journeys to players. And to underscore that truth, here is one more thing we hope you all enjoy.
I often wonder why we fight with all the evil forces that plague this land. The odds feel insurmountable. Our enemies are savage, cruel, and relentless. But even in knowing all of this, we must still fight on.
So that is definitely an adult dragon, if not an ancient. So.
Not for victory. Not for kings. Not even for glory. But for each other.
Yes! Fuck yeah! Now, I'm going to pause that right there. Adventure book and battle game coming late 2022. So, Shadow of the Dragon Queen. I would love if this book gets to be part of the Tyranny of Dragon series that we got way back in 2014 with Horde of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat, that this continues, the Tiamat storyline, maybe instead of, as Tiamat as Takishis, or Takisis, I can never pronounce that right. But Battle game. I hope that this game I hope that this game is in the same vein as the adventure games, Wrath of Ashardalon, Tomb of Annihilation, Ghost of Saltmarsh. Because if not, and this game isn't tied to Onslaught, that is, it's obviously going to be a miniatures product, which is great. More miniatures, more ways to enjoy the content of Dungeons and Dragons and Dragonlance. But I just don't want to see an overwhelming addition of ways to play the game this late into the game. We're getting a new skirmishing game. Video games are getting expansions and releases. We've got books. If we are starting to add battle games and war games into this that aren't skirmishes and aren't the adventure game series, it's just going to get to be a lot. And I think that they are going to oversaturate the market with variety ways of playing Dungeons and Dragons, and eventually will just either cause a lot of them to fail or spread their player base too thin. The other thing is we don't have a firm release date, but considering how much is coming out in May, June, July, August, I think that these are probably going to be a November release. I'm hoping that they will give us a break for September and October and, have these ready going into the Christmas season. All right. And that was D&D Direct. Thank you for watching it. If you are still here at this point, your viewership is greatly appreciated. I have absolutely missed doing videos, and I have missed you guys greatly. I do hope to see you here in the near future, as I do have some new content planned for the start of May. So hope to those who are still subscribed to the channel, thank you very much, and I do hope you enjoy. And in the meantime, cheers, and may the rolls be with you.